Welcome to Creating Wealth with Jason Hartman. During this program, Jason is going to tell you some really exciting things that you probably haven't thought of before and a new slant on investing. Fresh new approaches to America's best investment that will enable you to create more wealth and happiness than you ever thought possible. Jason is a genuine self-made multimillionaire who not only talks the talk, but walks the walk. He's been a successful investor for 20 years and currently owns properties in 11 states and 17 cities. This program will help you follow in Jason's footsteps on the road to financial freedom. You really can do it. And now, here's your host, Jason Hartman, with the complete solution for real estate investors.
Welcome to the Creating Wealth Show. This is episode number 169. Today we'll talk with Yanik Silver, who is a huge guru in terms of internet marketing, especially affiliate marketing.
It's kind of like, I guess, Tell Two Cities is the best of times, is the worst of times. And right now it's a great opportunity for anyone to get involved in starting up their own online business because it costs so cheap. There's a ton of tools out there. There's a ton of resources to help you out. But on the flip side, and I try and be a realist, flip side, there are a lot of competitors in pretty much every marketplace out there. And I look at that a little bit differently than some people do. I look at that as actually a good thing. If I don't see competitors right now in this day and age, because almost every market has been tapped in some way, unless there's new developing markets, like let's say the green marketplace, which really has come along recently in a couple of years, which didn't really exist. But unless there's some sort of new market that's been created, otherwise there's a lot of competition in there, and it's actually a good thing in a lot of times, which means that prospects out there are spending money. So one of the first things that I do whenever I'm actually looking at a marketplace is I go to Google and we'll type in, I don't know, let's say parrot training or something like that, and type in parrot training and see. I'm hoping that there are 8 spots on the right hand side with ads on there, people bidding for words like parrot training, because that means that other people are buying resources for that, which is a good thing to me. So that means that A, I have potential joint venture partners, potential endorsement partners, and B, I always think about the way to differentiate yourself a lot of times is what I call a big idea or a unique hook. And so you need to do something interesting that either combines successful marketplaces or combines something that for instance, one of our Maverick members is a woman named Susan Hill, and she's a fitness trainer. There's tons of information out there on fitness training. And what she did is combine what she does really well, and her hobby was golf, and she created a fitness program for golfers. And so that was a unique twist and a big idea that really helped catapult her into the expert by creating her own category in a way. So that's one of the ways of doing something, is taking two marketplaces, combining it together, and now you become the front runner and the person that takes advantage of that first mover positioning. The other way that a lot of times I think about is what can differentiate us. So a good example is our underground online seminar. There's a ton of internet seminars, as you know, Jason. So when I was looking at, we wanted to do our own seminar, why would I want to do something that's just like anybody else, and you pretty much have the exact same speakers on the platform and so on? So I decided, well, we're going to bring in real-world people who are making millions of dollars on the internet, who don't speak and don't sell how to make money on the internet stuff, and let them present. And so that hook has been good enough that it's sold out every year for the last 5 years. And so that's one of the things that I have people think about is, how can you go a different direction than where everybody else is going?
So that's good. Go a different direction, be unique, combine things. And I really like, Yanik, your idea of combining things. That's a really cool idea. I think a lot of people listening, though, if we could do like one more little salvo on that, have a problem doing that. And they're thinking, well, how can I do that with my thing? Any other examples or ideas on the sort of the combining thing? Because I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah, I mean, there's the combining. I look at, what you want to do is just kind of find disparate things and bring them together. One of my new tools that I just got that I really like is this thing called a Creative Whack Pack. It's like a $16 deck of cards of 64 cards. And in there you just pull it out and it would have some sort of question for you. And it would say, I don't know, it says look to the past is one of them. And then it tells you to think about the past and history, and then, or it has a bunch of other things, and so you just start thinking about, okay, what can I combine together? I mean, even this Maverick Business Adventures, the organization that I created, is a combination of separate things. I mean, there's obviously lots of people doing travel and unique experiences. Abercrombie and Kent, I don't know, there's a ton of them out there. There's a lot of business peer-to-peer advisory kind of groups, from EO to YPO to Vistage. There's a lot of, obviously, philanthropic groups or even people doing volunteer tourism, but there's nobody that combines all three of those things together, and so now that gives me a unique position.
What else would you like people to know beyond combining things? I think that's a great idea. The key to any entrepreneur is don't be commoditized.
You know, one of them is responsible for what I think is the success for instant sales letters, is I call it a fish product. And what that means is, everyone's heard the saying, if you hand the man a fish, you feed him for a day. If you teach a man a fish, you feed him for life. Well, pretty much BS. People want the fish handed to them. And so the closer you can get to delivering things on a silver platter for people, the more likely you are to succeed. So you can take something like, I don't know, let's go back to golf, because we're talking about Susan as an example. If you could give them, I don't know, a set of flashcards or something like that literally they could take with them on the course, or something for their iPhone that they could bring with them, and it has a video of the proper swing or the proper putting technique. So we get a little bit closer to the fish. Anything that you can literally give people on a silver platter. I'll go back to one of my original businesses when we helped cosmetic surgeons get more patients. I would give them pre-done ads that they could run in their newspaper or local magazines or whatever for different procedures they were performing. So liposuction, laser resurfacing, blepharoplasty, whatever the case is, I would give them the ads that they would run. They could just pop in their own name and make any changes that they wanted. And then I also gave them all the follow-up pieces after that. And that was incredibly successul, because as people are just they're busy, and so the easier we can make it for them to use and consume our product, the better. So that's another way. Something else to also think about that helps you differentiate and create a unique hook is unique specificity and time. So I don't know if you've seen this product, Jason, 8-minute abs.
Sure I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I had a chance to talk to the developer of that maybe a year ago or 2 years back, and he said literally that name was the thing that sold millions of copies of that. I think at that point it was a VHS product. And that was, the name, the specifics around, hey, I got 8 minutes today, I can work on creating a six-pack ab in 8 minutes. So, anything that you can do that has a specific time frame. My wife has a cookbook here called the 5-ingredient cookbook. It's a great example of, everyone's like, wow, most ingredients most recipes are kind of threatening, because it's 20 different steps and 18 different ingredients and some really obscure stuff, but, a 5-ingredient cookbook sounds pretty easy, and that was a nice bestseller. So even something like that is a good way to differentiate yourself. And looking at something that I take a lot of times before I go play hockey is 5-hour energy. This little liquid. I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I use that.
Little vials, and
that's been a huge success.
It's sold so well because of its name.
Yeah, it sure has. Those are all great ideas. Well, what can people do once they're past the stage? Say they've got the $1 million idea and they've got their product. What do you think is really the right way to approach their marketing? Websites, squeeze pages. I mean, there is so much depth to this. People in the old days used to think, well, just build a website and the world will beat a path to your door. Well, that's certainly not true. What are sort of the steps and the evolution of an internet business and an internet lifestyle?
Well, one thing that, before we get into that, I just want to mention so people don't feel threatened, is I literally consider myself a computer dunce. I can't put up my own webpage if my life depended on it. So don't get hung up on that and feeling like you have to learn all the mechanics behind it, because there's lots of people that you can hire to do all the things that I'm about to describe. But there are a whole lot of moving parts to it, and it all depends on how complicated you want to make it. I like breaking things down to formulas and keeping things as simple as possible. And so the simplest formula is that you have a compelling product or service. So we talked a little bit about that, how to create the big idea, the big hook, and create that more compelling product or service. And then you need some way of driving traffic to whatever is our sales mechanism. And our sales mechanism a lot of times is going to be a website. And then you want to create the website so that it either captures prospects' opt-in details, or it actually gets them to reach into their pocket and grab their wallet and pay you. So, those are really, if you break it down, the three big main areas that you should think about. And then as you're exploring what to do to make your web business and your business itself better, just think about how it relates to those three. So the first thing is building a very simple, it doesn't have to be anything really fancy. I mean, I've just recently, I've really been impressed with what people have done with the WordPress platform, which is a blogging platform.
Yeah, that's so universal.
The thing that I like about WordPress is that, A, there's a ton of themes out there for it, which means that there's a ton of different looks for it. B, it's pretty simple to update. I mean, I use a WordPress blog, but we don't use it for what I'm about to describe, but it's pretty easy to update, maintain. I mean, even I can go in there, and if you can kind of copy and paste and type, you can do a lot of the stuff that's required. So I would put up a WordPress page and then have a very specific reason for the page. What do you want people to do when they hit there? Do you want it to be a bunch of different articles that give you more authority and credibility and then gets people to join a mailing list that you build a longer-term relationship with them? Do you want it to be simply a page where they give you, like you mentioned, Jason's Squeeze page, which is just a page where there's pretty much nothing else to do except give me a name and an email address or sometimes more details and exchange for something else. So I think information is one of the best things we can do out there. That's an easy way to capture people's information, and this is for whatever product or service that you're selling. It doesn't matter if you are going to be selling an info product or not, but you could easily create, like what I had even going back 10, 11 years when I was working with cosmetic surgeons, I would have them have a report, everything you need to know about liposuction. And that was their bribe, essentially, their ethical bribe to get people to raise their hands and say, yeah, I'd like this. And so that could be on the page, and that's it, with a couple bullet points and that's, maybe a couple before and after shots, and that's about it for that Squeeze page. And that is in its simplistic form, an easy way to get going, and then the next page is going to be selling whatever it is next in the process of your sales sequence. But you then have to figure out, you need to study a little bit about, or hire someone that is a copywriter, because you want to make it in a way that's compelling. I mean, we don't have time to cover a lot of copywriting techniques, but it's well worth exploring and thinking about it, where it's just like you and I sitting down over a beer and talking about what's so great about my product or service, and then doing it in that sort of straightforward manner, and that's gonna get you a lot more sales than trying to be all advertisees and being, using highfalutin advertising language or over the top super hype, but just having that thought process in your head about you and I sitting down over a beer and discussing what makes this good.
In terms of copywriting, and of course this is a subject that we could talk about for 3 days, maybe 7 days, there's so much to that as well. It's a whole other area of discipline. But you are known as a copywriter. Maybe just a few quick tips on copywriting, and then who is your mentor? Who do you think is like the great copywriter? There are so many of them out there, and of course they all say they're the best and have certain track records and so forth. But if someone's going to look to hiring somebody, writing is such an amorphous kind of issue that you sort of just, when it's good and when it's bad, but it's hard to sort of test for, if you will, when hiring somebody.